Hey Nina, how are you? Very excited to get started together in these next 4 months in the Gut Glow Reset. Glad we got to chat a little bit more today over voice messaging and text messaging on healthy. So yeah, thanks for clarifying a lot of those things for me regarding the bloating. And I know we made some connections already between bloating, possibly SIBO, which really sounds evident with you, and endometriosis. And we'll dive into some of these causes and things that are correlated in your history, as well as a plan to eradicate this, improve the motility, so we make sure this doesn't happen again going forward. So let me share with you my screen and I'll show you your welcome packet, which you will have in your document section to refer back to. Okay. So it's 40 pages. We won't go over everything right now, but we just want to make sure we go over the main points. And of course, we can chat afterwards about any questions that you have, and we'll clarify next steps on your roadmap. I would also recommend you watching that balanced meal video lesson if you haven't yet. And we'll talk about some other videos that you can maybe watch this weekend. Okay, obviously, welcome. So excited. And we did talk a little bit about healthy. I know you said you used it before, which is great. You just joined the Facebook group, so you'll be seeing that updated frequently with different, I post the recordings for the group. That's every 2 weeks, about every 2 weeks. It's every first and third Wednesday of the month at 5 p.m. Eastern time. That has been the schedule for the past like 3 months, and I don't see it really changing in the future. So that's really good. And hope you can make that. Otherwise, if you can't make one or work gets crazy, you can't make it, we always record it and post it in the Facebook group afterwards. And everyone is kind of at different points in their journey, but it's really nice that we can all collectively come together and discuss any questions, concerns, get feedback about your plan, or if you want to keep things like that you're going through personally off of the group, we can definitely do that too and just talk more generally there. So it's about what you want to share in the group calls too, and we always talk about usually a topic of the night, and we will dive into certain gut health aspects a little bit deeper there. So you've already definitely figured out how to use the journal, which is great, the logging your food. You've already been using the roadmap, which we'll use to check in and set new goals throughout the program. And I'll basically be adding new recommendations there throughout the program as well. We'll also be checking in through a bi-monthly check-in form, and then we'll be talking on healthy every 2 weeks, just checking in with where you're at personally, in addition to the group calls. You'll also get email reminders for forms to be completed, like a new gut health symptoms audit every month, those bi-monthly check-in forms. I'll be sending like a plant diversity score that you'll be assessing your plant intake every week, about once a month. And yeah, I think that's really it for healthy. You definitely, obviously, the more that you journal, the more that you're going to get out of it, the more that I can see your progress. I'll be aware of any symptoms that arise, and we can troubleshoot things better when I can visually see what you've been eating, what symptoms you've been having, how your stools have been. So the more detailed you are, the more you'll get out of it, and the more I can help you. So pictures are always great. Doesn't always have to be pictures though, but you can backlog as well. So if you get busy, you don't have time to log, you can always come back and log the estimated time. Does not have to be exact time. You can also log your water. So your goal for water, I believe, will be 90 ounces. So you can actually change that in a setting in healthy to be 100% of your water intake to be 90 ounces. So let me know if you have questions about that, or if you can't find that. Um, yeah, I think that's it for healthy. You can also post menus if you want me to review any menus that can work into your plan if you have plans to go out on the weekends or out for the evening. I don't want you to feel like you can never enjoy yourself or go out during this program. We really want to make it adjust to your schedule, your life, while also helping you improve your symptoms and getting to the root causes. But you can definitely upload things in the Facebook group. A menu is awesome. Or even you can post recipes in the Facebook group, things that you find that you want to share with the group, any wins you want to share with the group. I always encourage that. So this is a health vision form. I'll actually be requesting that you fill this out by kind of the end of your onboarding week. So like middle of next week, just kind of reflecting on the week so far. and what having good health means to you, what's going to keep you motivated and coming back to your goals on your journey. And we'll create some SMART goals in your roadmap too that are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time oriented. So we want to make sure that our goals always are pretty specific. So they're realistic, right? So we want to make sure that one, they're realistic for you and where you're at in life right now. We don't want to set you up for failure with these really outlandish goals. We want to make them tangible and make sure that you can reach them each time. And we could always be adjusting your goals during your bi-monthly check-ins. Okay. So you are what your gut bacteria eat. I just love this topic because our food is basically information for our gut bacteria. So there's this spectrum, right? It's not really about good and bad foods. It's about, okay, what's going to activate and replicate my good bacteria in my gut and what can promote those pathogenic bacteria to grow. And that is a spectrum that we can actually change very easily. And we have a lot of power in that every single day with by what we choose on our plate, what we drink, what we eat, what we don't eat. A lot of times we see what we don't eat is actually impacting our health too. So we really want to be focused on these good things that we can add to our diet that we will be discussing over the program. So prebiotics, which are foods that feed our good gut bacteria. We have probiotics, so fermented foods. And these we don't want it to go too crazy on, especially if we think you have SIBO, but small quantities are pretty good on lower FODMAP, which is the type of elimination diet that'll have you, try out and test out to improve your symptoms. We have lots of fibrous foods like veggies, fruits, nuts, and seeds. We have high polyphenol foods, high resistant starch foods, and herbs and spices. So all these things are feeding our good bacteria, which promote a healthy microbiome. They also increase our short chain fatty acids, which are basically byproducts of and rewards of these bacteria producing these beneficial metabolites called short chain fatty acids that give us all the health benefits of improved inflammation, better immune health, better weight loss journey, basically improved lipid metabolism. So that helps our body basically store fat more efficiently instead of basically you can have inadequate fat metabolism when you have more bad pathogens in the gut. So increasing our short chain fatty acids helps to reduce any weight loss resistance. So us targeting the bacterial overgrowth that we think is going on in your gut is indirectly going to help improve your metabolism. We're also going to see lower gut inflammation and improve our insulin sensitivity. And I don't think you had an A1C, so I'm going to recommend in a separate, I'll go over your lab separately, but that would be good to get to assess for your insulin sensitivity. Your glucose was, I believe, like 96, which is pretty normal, but we just want to make sure with your A1C, which is your 3-month record of your glucose level, that your blood sugar is good. So I'll have you get that on Saturday. And then when we have not so friendly foods for the gut microbiome, like lots of sugar, high saturated fat intake, like conventional red meat, artificial sweeteners, taking antibiotics frequently, or even like once a year can definitely still mess up the microbiome. PPIs and antacids, things like reflux medications, all these things can have a big impact on the microbiome. And then we see lower short chain fatty acid production, higher TMAO, which is a byproduct of excess red meat that's conventionally raised in the gut, higher LPS, which is a bacterial endotoxin. We see that increasing systemic inflammation when we don't have a good balance of good and bad bacteria in the gut. We see increased cardiovascular risk. We see altered bowels, constipation, loose stools. We could see a change in our insulin resistance, meaning higher glucose levels, and we could see even change in cognitive function and decline. So just wanted to show you kind of like an overview of like how the gut is affected by food. Food's basically information and fuel for good bacteria and bad bacteria, and we want to be feeding the good bacteria all the time. And these are some factors that negatively affect the gut. We have chronic stress. We said antibiotics, things like Advil, ibuprofen, non-steroidal medications, diet high in refined sugar, refined white carbs, high preservatives and additives. All those things can impact gut permeability and the leakiness of our gut lining. We want to make sure the gut lining is really strong. So that's something we're going to be working on in the program. We know low fiber diet is not great for the microbiome, as well as drinking out of plastics, putting food in plastic, especially heating up plastics in the microwave. Birth control definitely can alter the microbiome. There's a lot of research there now that is not discussed with the average population who's going in and, we're just handed birth control when someone is in their teens and they're not really getting education as to the damage it can cause in the microbiome, as well as slowing down gut motility. We also know infections and overgrowth in the microbiome in the small intestine and large intestine are a major cause of a lot of these diagnoses of IBS, whether it's IBS-C, IBS-D, food poisoning events. All these things can damage that balance in the gut. We know alcohol is a gut irritant, so definitely we're being mindful of that, not to say to eliminate all alcohol, but we just want to be mindful of our consumption because we know that lots of alcohol can increase those pathogenic bacteria in the gut. We also know that processed vegetable oils like soybeans, sunflower, canola, what else? Cottonseed, palm oil, all these high omega-6 vegetable oils are really inflammatory for the gut. So I tend to steer my clients towards foods that are minimally processed, that don't have a lot of vegetable oils, and more brands that have avocado oil or olive oil as their base. And obviously, cooking more at home helps you eat less vegetable oils as well. Again, you can ask me any questions after this. I just want to get this all in one place so you can have it, video, and you can have it as just a packet form as a PDF. So we basically want to do 3 phases. So our first phase, which we're starting, we're going to have you watch the balanced meal video. I'll show you my balanced plate in a few slides from now. We're going to discuss obviously we're talking about the importance of gut health and our overall health. We'll talk about a guided elimination plan with an emphasis on heavy plant foods and a plant-centric diet. Not to say to cut out meat, but we just want to make plants the center of the dish and have meat be more of a condiment, basically having it more as like a taste and still getting enough protein, but really just seeing veggies as the center of the dish. And this is really great for increasing the diversity of the microbiome, which is one of the best things we can do for our gut health and resiliency long term. And so basically, we're using that in conjunction with an elimination plan that is really suited to you as we reduce these highly fermentable FODMAP foods. Basically, that's going to help you improve your symptoms temporarily using this diet. So we can suppress the immune system from its heightened state. We can reduce the fuel for these bacteria that are overgrown in the small intestine by reducing FODMAPs. And that will just be for basically like 6, sometimes 8 weeks, depending on the need and the individual, because everybody's different with how long it takes one to adjust to changing your diet to a little bit more low FODMAP, as well as to the reaction in the body. So we need to see, how long does it take for your body to significantly have a lot of symptom reduction. And we'll be talking about some supplements that we're going to use in a supportive way in addition to the diet changes. So they're going to be targeted and they're all clinically evidence-based. We really want to make sure that we're using specific supplements that are necessary. I don't like to use a lot of fluff. We really want to make sure that the ones you're taking are going to be actually really targeted and doing what we need them to do. And I'll talk about the ones that you have as well. And, we can discuss which ones would be good to continue and which ones to pause on. But I do like a lot of the supplements that you're taking now. And I will be recommending different supportive supplements throughout the program. So we'll be using Fullscript, which is my professional supplement dispensary, which is a lot safer. And we know that they're good quality compared to a site like Amazon, where you're not knowing what you're getting usually when you buy supplements from Amazon, unless you get it from like that specific store for the brand, which is starting now, which I do like, but I still, recommend Fullscript as my top recommendation. Then we'll go through as we're using these supportive supplements and you're feeling better, we'll start doing a reintroduction phase of certain FODMAP groups to basically get you tolerating all foods again without getting that bloat back, without getting constipation back, and really just feeling a lot better while we're obviously, like I said, reintroducing foods and getting to the root cause of the bloating and constipation. Then we want to basically expand your diet to as wide of diversity as possible, really increasing that plant diversity. So over time, you have a higher gut resiliency without the bloating and symptoms. Okay, so I know you said your current weight was about 153. Your ideal weight range based on your height is about 117 to 143. So I think a goal weight of 135 to 140 is an awesome range for you. That's within your ideal weight range. But we want to take it slow. We know that a half a pound to 2 pounds a week is a healthy rate of weight loss without losing muscle mass. And strength training can also help keep that muscle mass while you're making some of these diet changes, while you're aiming for weight loss. And our first, priority is definitely gut healing. So as we work on healing the gut, that will in turn help improve your metabolic health, which in turn helps your weight loss resistance. So you could be having this weight loss resistance because of the small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. You said you've been, trying to eat clean, really changing your diet. And I don't think from what you said, you saw much success. So I'm excited for you actually to see some success because we're targeting the root cause of the issue in the gut. So I wrote up a clinical presentation of what I think is really going on. And I know you said you have heard of SIBO and you didn't really correlate with what was going on with you, because maybe it does take some time to like step back a little and have someone else really look at what's going on with your symptoms and say, hey, you really do correlate with a lot of these SIBO symptoms, really getting that pregnant bloating at the end of the day. You're getting that fatigue, gas, reflux, because gas gets trapped and it has to go up or it has to go down. Sometimes it goes both ways. So that's why you can get reflux and you can get lower abdominal gas and bloating. So we also see constipation very frequently because SIBO slows that gut motility. So your things are moving more slowly through the GI tract. And then when they sit there and they're moving slower, the bacteria that are overgrown in the small intestine ferment your food, your FODMAPs. That's what's being fermented the most. Those FODMAPs are being fermented, and that slows down the motility even more when those gases of fermentation are produced. So we could confirm this with a GI doctor, and you could get a referral on Saturday to a GI doctor. And we could see like when what the lag time is between getting an appointment, the referral and the appointment. But there is such thing as a Trio Smart breath test that you could bring to your GI doctor. You could bring the form and a little discussion sheet that I have that basically shares with them like, hey, I think I have SIBO, and this would be the test that you would order for me. Kind of make it very simple for them because some of them either don't know what it is yet or they haven't caught up to the research. So that's something that I've been doing a lot lately, is sending you with a form and asking your GI doctor to test for it. If it's a very big lag time, we could also just go forward with our plan, which I have done a lot because sometimes it takes a long time to get to a GI doctor. And I hate to see you delay your plan like 2 months because you can't get in there. So we'll talk about that based on what happens. And we know that endometriosis and SIBO, we know that they're very much linked because endometriosis really increases the inflammation in the gut, and that can really affect the motility as well. So the endometriosis can slow down the gut motility. And since you had that adhesions, you might have adhesions from surgery, that excision surgery. Any surgery that's in the abdomen can cause scar tissue and adhesions to build up in the small intestine, or that stick into the small intestine. That can change the structure and function of the digestive tract, and that can encourage SIBO development also. So it kind of maybe was like a double-edged sword, that there was already inflammation brewing in the gut, and that the surgery and even just endometriosis one, and then the surgery after that may have influenced even further development. And endometriosis itself is also just linked to dysbiosis in the large intestine. So when you have large intestinal dysbiosis, that puts you at higher risk for SIBO development as well. And That's also affected by birth control. I know you said you were on it for, I believe, 8 years. Just checking back to your notes. Yes, you're on it for about 8 years, which is I would consider long-term use. And that has definitely been shown to increase the pathogenic bacteria in the gut. It changes the diversity of strains in the gut. It reduces our bacterial diversity. It also can slow down our gut motility as well. It can change our gallbladder function. It can reduce the bile output, which is not good for SIBO development. So kind of makes sense with the picture that you shared with me. And we're gonna work on gut permeability, like I said a few slides ago, because it's definitely present with SIBO, and birth control can affect this as well. So we really want to be able to increase that integrity of the gut lining because that is definitely affected by SIBO and bacterial overgrowth, and that will also improve systemic inflammation and support your metabolism. We also want to be addressing the adrenal health because I think there's been chronic stressors on the body. It sounds like you've been going through stress in your life, external life as well, your everyday life. Plus, there's now these physiological stressors going on in the body with endometriosis, SIBO, dysbiosis. So we really want to focus on adrenal and mineral support. Our mineral support is really important for adrenal health. It's also really great for constipation and bloating and energy and skin health. So you might be depleted in some minerals that we really want to focus on. And we want to really support that cortisol response because if you have cortisol that's all over the place, that's stress hormone, that's really going to impact our gut healing. And this is definitely impacting likely your fatigue that I know you said you're definitely more tired than you should be. Also going to work on the vagus nerve. And a lot of times I see this with constipation and SIBO that the vagus nerve can become untoned or weakened. And so we really want to focus on toning of the vagus nerve, which is the nerve that runs from the gut to the brain directly. And obviously there's neurotransmitters involved, but this is the one actual nerve that runs directly from the gut to the brain. And there's messengers being sent every second, back and forth. And a lot of it is going from the gut to the brain. So this bacterial overgrowth going on in the gut can really affect brain health, mood, anxiety. So us working on the vagus nerve is going to support both anxiety and mood health and improve gut motility and good bacteria in the gut. So the 4 R's are basically kind of like summing up the phases again, but this is just a clinical term that we use that we reduce the fermentable carbohydrates, those FODMAPs, to limit the fuel for bacteria that are instigating symptoms, to calm down inflammation. Then we want to remove the overgrowth and improve dysbiosis in the large intestine with an herbal antimicrobial regimen. We don't want to use a ton of antibiotics. We don't want to go in swinging with like aggressive antibiotics because this has a high relapse rate. This does not kill, this basically kills good bacteria. It's not just targeting the bacterial overgrowth. So I use antimicrobials that are herb-based because they really are gentle and they really just address the bad bacterial overgrowth that is occurring, and it really leaves the good guys alone and helps promote microbiome restoration. Sometimes we need to weed out the garden before we plant new flowers, right? So we kind of want to use a gentle antimicrobial over the course of a few months. And this also addresses fungi, parasites, whereas antibiotic only kills bacteria. We want to repair damage to the intestinal lining, and we want to restore the motility of the GI tract to prevent relapse of symptoms. Because if you just kill the bacteria that are there, but the dysfunction is still happening where the gut is slowed down, then it's just going to happen again. So we need to make sure that the motility is running really well. You're not having any constipation and you're going to the bathroom daily. So additional testing recommended. I did mention the Trio Smart Breath Test before. I will highlight some things on your lab work to bring to your GI doctor as well. If you're able to get an appointment, some celiac markers, possibly the endoscopy or HIDA scan if you have any upper GI pain that returns. But I saw that your gallbladder test was pretty normal. So, that was kind of a fluke. It seems like that they couldn't really find anything, so that could be warranted, like an endoscopy or HIDA scan if that pain comes back. But it would be good to also do a fecal calprotectin test, which is basically a screening tool used as a stool test instead of going for a more invasive test like a colonoscopy, and that tests the inflammation in the gut, whether if it's semi-high, it's more IBS. If it's very high, it could be indicative of inflammatory bowel disease like Crohn's or colitis. So those could be some options that we could, get at the GI doctor. And then I did write some primary doctor follow-ups because there were some gaps in what you had got done, but I'm really glad you did get those things done. Um, so we have like a bunch of we have the full thyroid panel, we have a full iron panel, a hemoglobin A1C and insulin levels, C-reactive protein, sedimentation rate, and Westogren to look at inflammation. We have hormone levels listed on there, which would be really good post-birth control, like estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA. Then we have some other ones like Lyme and Epstein-Barr, which can both be SIBO triggers. So that would be good to test from the primary doctor. So again, I'll share this with you. And a lot of the things that are in yellow are what I would recommend you ask for this Saturday. This is also a link to a large intestinal stool test. So this is optional, but it does give good information for my current clients. Just looking at the ratio of good and bad bacteria in the large intestine, looking at the microbial diversity there and the health of the microbiome, looking at vitamin production and bacterial metabolites, toxin metabolites in the stool. So let me know if you are interested in that and we could talk about you doing that as well. Otherwise, we can move forward with the plan we already have. So these are some of the goals we've been talking about. We want to still maintain a good range of plant diversity. So we'll be making sure that we're trying new plants throughout the program, getting you to expand your horizons a little bit with different vegetables and fruits, eradicating SIBO in the small intestine and supporting the balance of the microbiome in the large intestine, really uncover all possible root causes of SIBO, why it happened. Look at, we want to be optimizing our motility. We want to be supporting healthy stomach acid levels. And again, I have a bunch of videos on these different types of topics, and we'll be talking about different topics too in the groups. Then we are going to be reducing gut inflammation, reducing gut permeability. It's also really good to think about reducing our stress bucket and environmental factors, switching to non-toxic skincare, not using so much plastic in your everyday life, getting rid of nonstick pans and using cast iron or non-toxic cookware. All these things are really important for gut health and they add up in our environment. Even thinking about if there's any toxin or mold exposure in the home, workplace toxins, switching your household toxic cleaners to non-toxic cleaners, things like that. Addressing emotional stress, addressing relationship stress, job stress. All of these things are external factors that affect our overall health and our gut health. So just a thought to be kind of addressing, we want to be thinking about what else is going on in my life that could be adding to this stress factor of what's going on in my body. And I have your water intake goal about 90 ounces of water per day. It's about half your body weight in ounces plus more due to frequent constipation. And we also would do really good with replenishing minerals with mineral mocktails. And this is on your supplement sheet, but it's an adrenal cocktail powder. Basically has a really, really good recipe concoction that's already pre-mixed for you with high dose vitamin C from acerola berry, food grade potassium, and mineral salt that's high quality that we actually need that good quality salt in our diet to help load water into our cells, promote more cellular hydration. These minerals and vitamin C are like a spark plug for your cells, helping you boost your ATP, really helping with energy, helping with bloating, constipation, and really supporting and nourishing your adrenal glands. That these are the main ingredients and nutrients that get depleted when our adrenals are stressed out. So we want to be replenishing these frequently. I also like these LMNT packets, which are basically like liquid IV without the sugar. So these are also an option too. Okay. So I'm recommending for you that lower FODMAP elimination plan. We want to see how long it takes for you to get good symptom reduction and relief. So we also don't want it to be perfect either. It does not have to be perfect. We will troubleshoot this in your journals. We just want enough low FODMAP swaps to really see a symptomatic improvement in your everyday life. And sometimes someone needs to be a little stricter than someone else, depending on the bacterial overgrowth and types of bacteria in your gut and how severe it is. I also listed some apps here that are really helpful for doing the low FODMAP diet, in addition to all the materials I have for you in your healthy section in your modules, as well as you can check the healthy documents, and I'll be sharing some recipes there and a lot of materials about low FODMAP. We can also, as needed, really kind of minimize any acidic foods. I have a reflux and low FODMAP combination PDF that's in the documents that we can use to pinpoint any triggers that you have right now of foods that are super acidic, that are maybe aggravating the reflux. But really, with us addressing the root cause of SIBO and bacterial overgrowth, that is really what's going to heal that reflux for good. And I just listed some things here like not having peppermint tea that worsens reflux, and trying some ginger tea, which is also a good motility agent to help food move more quickly out of the stomach. I also listed these natural indigestion relief capsules that I really like, that work really well, that are basically like ginger, ACV, turmeric, cloves, a nice blend of anti-inflammatory herbs. We also want to go towards more cooked, roasted, steamed, grilled veggies right now over like bake raw, hard salads. But softer greens are generally more well tolerated, like spinach and arugula. You want to try more soups and stews and chili. Smoothies are also great too because they're easily broken down already and easily digested. Definitely go see your low FODMAP recipe ideas in your document section. We want to focus on low FODMAP fiber to improve stool formation. We want to increase omega-3 fatty acids like hemp seeds, chia, ground flax, wild salmon, walnuts, avocado, and all these herbs and high polyphenol foods to feed our good gut bacteria, and using 3 balanced meals every single day. We really want to avoid skipping meals, especially when you're bloated. I know it can be enticing, but this can make bloating worse and reduces our digestive capacity over time, can lower our stomach acid and our pancreatic enzymes. So we really still want to be sticking to those 3 meals a day. And it's also great to have about 3 to 4 hours, if possible, in between your meals. So the balance part of the meal is key so that you do stay full for 3 to 4 hours, because we don't want you getting super hungry in between. Because when you get very snacky in between meals and you have snack grazing, this can actually just turn off that migrating motor complex and slow down your motility. So when we have those short periods of rest between meals, that promotes motility of food getting out of the small intestine and equals less bloating. So these are some of your supplement recommendations. I'll go through them one by one. So I'm going to be sending you these 2 that are specifically designed for SIBO. They are well evidence-based and have a lot of research behind them. So they don't kill good bacteria, and I have had very good success with them. And then these are ones I'm recommending for you to buy in addition to the ones I'm sending you. And these are kind of like your initial recommendations, and they will be changing throughout the program. So the first one would be a kind of like a all-encompassing enzyme support with a meal to help improve digestion of macros, fats, carbs, protein, reduce bloating, improve energy. We know SIBO causes lots of nutrient deficiencies. It can reduce nutrient absorption, especially of fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. It actually reduces absorption of a lot of B vitamins. So we want to make sure that we are promoting the most digestive capacity and function as we can. It's also going to help initially with symptoms too, because it can break down food a little bit better before it gets to the small intestine, resulting in less bloating and reflux. So it's really, really nice. And then we have a Transil, which is a evidence-based herbal regimen that's made to assist a SIBO regimen. It can be used on its own, but I find it works really well in conjunction with a biotics regimen, the two that I'm going to send you. In one, improving the flora in the small bowel, so helping to reduce bacteria as well as reduce symptoms. So it's addressing the root cause, but also addressing symptoms at the same time. So you find pretty good relief from that. We also have an herbal prokinetic, which is basically helping the motility in your small intestine. So it's re-stimulating that gut motility. So that one you could even, if you wanted to like save money and not get all of them initially, you could just even wait on this one because we do kind of want to address the bacterial overgrowth first and foremost. And that if you wanted to wait on one, I would say this one we could add in like a few weeks because we really then want to be re-stimulating the motility as we've already been working on killing off the bacteria. And I have a video too about lifestyle and nutrition ways to improve your motility. So an herbal prokinetic is just one way we're going to be focusing on your motility. That's the adrenal cocktail powder I was talking about before, any high quality multivitamin with minerals. And I don't think that you're taking a multivitamin with minerals now, but I do think that would be good for you just for the B vitamins, zinc, selenium for thyroid health and metabolism. So there's lots of good things in there. We want to make sure that you're digesting and absorbing, especially because with bacterial overgrowth, we can have impaired absorption. I do think I would say pause on your seed probiotic for now because it could be adding fuel to the fire with SIBO, but definitely I love seed, so keep it and we'll add it back in when you have better tolerance. I would say you can definitely still take your desiccated beef liver. I think that's really good for energy and metabolism support. Keep doing your vitamin D and K2 because your vitamin D was low. Let me know the serving size or the IUs on that. I recommend the 5,000 IUs a day for you, especially your vitamin D was like 39, I think. Um, your vitamin C is great. Your zinc is great. And your magnesium glycinate is awesome. So I'll incorporate those into your supplements chart based on what you buy from my recommendations now. So I'll kind of create like a plan for you with what to take when throughout the day. This is just a little bit more about SIBO, and I have a whole video lesson on it, so I'm not going to go too deep right now. But we know there's definitely lower motility, which is the migrating motor complex, that will increase risk of SIBO, lower digestive enzymes, even lower stomach acid, antibiotics, birth control, food poisoning events. I'm not sure if you've had any. I don't think you've said you had any food poisoning events. No, you said no. But if you think of one, maybe you'll randomly think of one, but that can definitely, like a gastroenteritis episode, that can increase risk of SIBO. Diabetes, diverticulosis. I don't think you have any of these, but that's why I do like to recommend testing for celiac because celiac is a risk factor. Rosacea, a structural defect, which could be from a surgery in the abdomen. This is a little bit more about low FODMAP. So we know the FODMAPs draw water through the bowel. Sometimes this results in diarrhea, but most of the time I see we have this increase in gas production, and then we see bloating, distension, excess gas, abdominal pain, and constipation. So this is only when the gut is in a state of imbalance. So when we get the gut back into balance, the FODMAPs will not be a problem. And this is what I've seen plenty of times with someone being intolerant to FODMAPs and us taking them out for a little bit, working on the gut, rebalancing the gut microbiome, getting rid of SIBO, then you have no problems with FODMAPs. This is a balanced meal formula that you'll be expanding on in your balanced meal video. So we have half the plate non-starchy veggies, a quarter whole grains, a quarter lean protein, and a serving of healthy fats. And I have basically examples for each one. And based on what you're posting this week, I'll kind of make a little sample plan for you that's tailored to you and things that you like to eat that are just slightly changed for low FODMAP. So we kind of make it as close to your typical diet as we can while using the balanced meal principles. These are just some more notes based on the balanced plate. So definitely read through this. Let me know if you have any questions. 1 to 2 balanced snacks daily as needed without grazing. You want to listen to your hunger cues on this. You want to assess whether you're actually hungry, whether you're bored, are you dehydrated? Maybe you need a drink of water first. Maybe you need a mineral mocktail, which is my favorite. You also want to minimize carb only snacks. We really want to be pairing carbs with fat or protein because some carbs alone, pretzels, chips, crackers, a piece of fruit, even, this is just going to spike your blood sugar, can cause hunger and cravings later in the day, and promote a blood sugar roller coaster, blood sugar dysregulation, which makes it very hard for gut healing. So you want to be pairing your carbs with protein or fat. This is kind of what I was just saying about that with blood sugar. If you have a high carb, low fat, or low protein breakfast, your blood sugar can spike even as a non-diabetic to almost 200. And then we could see a crash about, what is that, 2 hours later. So then that's when you get hangry, you get low energy, you get fatigued, you get brain fog, you want sugar, you want carbs because you didn't have a balanced breakfast. So we really want to aim for a balanced breakfast that sets our blood glucose up well for the rest of the day. And this is an example of that. But I do have a whole low FODMAP breakfast PDF list of ideas. So it definitely does not have to just be eggs. Here's some more wellness recommendations. Definitely hydrating before caffeinating. I feel very strongly about this, that we really want to hydrate and eat your breakfast before having coffee, especially if we're worried about your adrenal health. We know that a coffee will just pull from our adrenals first thing in the morning. So we really want to have a good base of breakfast and water before going right to coffee. I also love this bone broth concentrate, which is great for soothing gut inflammation. It has a lot of collagen in it and amino acids that are good for the gut lining. I love kiwi for constipation. So if you can incorporate more kiwis paired with some almonds or peanut butter on the side or a hard-boiled egg, that's an awesome snack, or just adding it to your breakfast on the side. I love a good squatty potty, especially for someone like you who deals with a little bit of intermittent constipation. And I have a bunch of other ideas and just resources on my Amazon page. Okay, I'm gonna probably let you read through the rest of this. This is how to make a low FODMAP meal based on different grains, protein, veggies, fruit, dairy, healthy fats, and drinks. So definitely this is a nice one. That's a good meal builder. We'll get more into this on the low FODMAP video, but this is a little bit about portion size for FODMAP. So some foods are portion size dependent, depending on the FODMAP, and basically the day of the 24-hour period. So this on the Monash app will basically show you the serving size of what will keep you low and having minimal bloat in one day. So 10 nuts of almonds would be low FODMAP, low bloating. But once you get to 20, then you get higher FODMAP in the GOS group. So then that may cause bloating and constipation. Same with blueberries. So a third of a cup, no, sorry, a quarter of a cup is lower FODMAP. And then once we get to a third and a cup, we get into higher FODMAP portions, whereas this might cause bloating. But I don't want you to get too crazy. You don't have to memorize any portions or anything. I just want you to start with making some simple swaps, and I'll point some of the documents to you that are easy. Just make some simple swaps at first, and I'll be helping you with portion sizes as well in your food journal. So I don't want you to feel like you have to memorize this or have it perfect right away, because it's just going to be a learning process for a little bit, and that's totally fine. And it's not meant to be like an end all be all, like I said. These are some low FODMAP fruits and their portion sizes. These are some low FODMAP fibrous foods that we really want to focus on to keep those bowel movements really good. These are some flavorings that are really good for cooking to keep it exciting. This is an example of a little Buddha bowl that has all different types of fixings that are good for the gut microbiome, and it's pretty much staying a low FODMAP and low bloat. Okay, I also have a little snack list here, and then I have more snacks on my Amazon list. I have a little meal prep guide for making things easier for yourself for the beginning of the week if you'd like to do that. I'm not sure what kind of person you are with that, if you like to meal prep anything. I personally don't like to like make meals ahead of time. I like to batch prep different ingredients so that I can mix and match, increase diversity, and kind of be more intuitive with what I'm feeling on the day of. So if that's you too, you could definitely try out making some of these staples. And this is some fresh turmeric tea. I also have another turmeric tea recipe in the documents, some low FODMAP organic bone broth, which would be awesome if you wanted to make your own. If not, I do love a good organic bone broth without garlic and onion. Like there's Fond, and some like Pacific Bonafide Provisions like that. A lot of them don't have garlic and onion. Some do. So you just want to look for that for the meantime because garlic and onion are very high FODMAP. So those are two that I would recommend be avoiding going forward for the next few weeks. And that we should see definitely making a big difference. Um, yeah, so I will share this with you. You know, you still have some more recipes here, oatmeal, a smoothie. I'm just gonna share my screen, stop sharing. But let me know if you have any questions after you review this. I'm here, I'm open to chatting about any of this, if any hesitance, any just any kind of questions, anything you're not sure about, anything you want me to repeat. I have no problems doing any of that. So I will talk to you soon.